Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's edition of the Cheap Seats, where we talk all things Premier League. We talk Manchester United and Jay Lings in his FA Cup shirt. We talk about how Dean is flexing at the top of the league with Spurs, and we talk about my misery sitting at 14th with a manager who doesn't seem to know what's going on, but it's fine. We'll get to that. We've got lots of stuff to get into, and
It's a legendary number at Arsenal. It's the
yes,
number
we're just
that
remembering
it's the number that they are in the league.
Remembering Henri, and it's also the number of the man we paid a lot of money this summer. But anyway, remember, firstly, let's get through the admin. Please interact with us on these platforms, but the most important one is the one at the bottom. Please like and subscribe to YouTube. You can also send us comments. You can also send us little questions that you'd like for us to do. I got an FPL question that I'll post to the guys in the FPL section of the show, so do wait for that and watch until then. But I think this week's show, we're talking the Premier League Big Six. I do it in inverted commas because my team wouldn't be in the Big Six, and chances are. And then we'll just move on to FPL. We're carrying on with the series with FPL, where we go through the next 5 teams alphabetically and who the best buys are. And then we'll talk about the festive season, since you've got 6 game weeks in December. I'm in an FPL league where we do it monthly, and the monthly winners get a pot of money. And so, guys, some guy just got Tala. Actually, remember him? He did Date Night Drip. He won 1,800 rand, and he's getting married next weekend. So, congratulations to him.
Well, congratulations to Tala's wife, because that's her money.
Yeah, so I just don't want to be supporting his honeymoon fund anymore. So you guys need to work for me. How are you guys doing?
All good.
Good, better. United are doing better. It's, you go to work in a much better mood on a Monday when you when you come from 2 goals down to win 3-2.
Doing better, 2-0 against Southampton, and you praising working in Prague. Get lost.
We were playing quite well up to them scoring, and any team is going to concede to James Ward-Prowse at the moment. The guy is a magician over the free kicks, probably the best I've seen since Beckham. So,
what was the Spurs Southampton score?
I don't think any small teams games against each other.
Good. No, just checking. I think it was 5-1.
So this week we're going to talk about the title chances that each of the Big Six have, and what you've seen so far. We've gone through a quarter of the season, so we're going to discuss that, and we're going to go through that. I just went through from position in the league all the way down. Sorry, Leicester fans. Sorry, James. We'll talk about Leicester. And if you're a Wolves fan, sorry too, because we're going to talk about Arsenal. Liverpool, champions. They finally got it after 20 years. This season didn't start off the way it's working, but it seems as though they've got some sort of championship mojo that's keeping them going amidst all these injuries that's happening. Dean, can they sustain this with everyone else around them trying to take them down?
You know what the thing is? I think if you asked us that question, when was it, 3 weeks ago, I think we would have said no. Virgil's gone. Thiago's gone. You've got, the backbone. You've got Trent gone. Fabinho was out for a while. Everyone was going, okay, cool, Liverpool's going to blow up. And they just haven't. That's the thing. They just haven't done it, Everyone was expecting this catastrophe, and it just hasn't happened. And I think that puts more fear or, worry into the rest of the Premier League, kind of going, they got their best squad, or the best squad of players that have all taken hits in key positions, and they're still managing to get, beat Leicester 3-0. They're still managing to get these wins. I mean, they were Brighton on the weekend, they were unlucky, but, they're still managing to get these crucial wins to really stay up there. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're second in the log, It's not like they, down there with United where, they can still kind of boost up. They're right there. So definitely think they can continue the form. I think the one thing I will say is that everyone would have expected them to run away with it probably a little bit more at the beginning of the season if they had stayed, if their players had stayed fit. So it has probably made the league a little bit closer. But if anything, once these players come back, it's going to be a Liverpool that we should all be afraid of, really.
Yeah, I think Jurgen Klopp got this team kind of, and as we spoke about this, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, about how it feels as though they have every game is like they've got their backs on their wall, against the wall. Even with the press conference on Saturday, he was just blaming everybody, which is Mourinho-esque, because
it's the Alex. It's creating a siege mentality within his squad to make them believe it's us against the world, to make them believe that everybody's written us off. Look at this injury list, and let's go show them how good we are. I said a couple of weeks ago that I'm not sure Diogo Jota would have been as good for any other club as he is for Liverpool. So, yeah, like I'm not sure if he had to go to City or United, he'd be performing to the level he's performing at right now, and that's just the harmony Klopp has at Liverpool. And I know famous screenshot of United team against Wolfsburg in I think 2010, when United were absolutely decimated with injuries, and Alex put a semi squad out where he put 8 defenders on the field. You had Michael Carrick and Darren Fletcher in defense and all sorts of stuff. And United still managed to come away with wins in those games, and like big hectic wins against Wolfsburg. And it's very similar to what we're seeing now against from Liverpool. Is no matter which kids he puts out, no matter which players he puts in different positions, square pegs in round holes, they just seem to be coming away with a win. So yeah, we compare Mourinho, but I'm actually seeing a little bit of the latter Fergie years here, where he's creating a siege mentality in his squad.
Yeah, complaining about everything, including the fixtures, even though everybody has the same type of fixture. That fixture became a bit of a situation. And then moving on, Manchester City. This team, I think, is very, very. Yeah, you expected so much from a squad like this, and every year you expect a lot because they spend a lot. They play, supposedly we see them buying in the top tier of the transfer market, but it just hasn't been able to transfer onto the field. They really did struggle early on in the season, and this weekend you kind of saw glimpses of the old City bullying smaller teams. Whereas earlier in the season, they really did struggle. The jury's still out for me against the other 5. I know they've necessarily have beaten Arsenal. They've played against Liverpool and they didn't. I think they lost that one. So the question for me with City is that, the thing with me is that with City is that they are so lucky to be where they are at 11, about 6 points behind with a game in hand, playing as poorly as they've played, and they've just been helped by the poor results of everyone else above them. Essentially, when you're at about 10 games in the season and everyone's at 21 points, and you're sitting at 15 with a game in hand, you kind of feel as though, okay, you can get there if you find it right. I just don't know if Pep can get it right unless if he can get the same 11 on the field. I think the injury to Aguero has hurt him. I think Jesus isn't the better foil or an equal foil to him, and that's kind of messed up that shape. And Raheem Sterling isn't as at the best that he can be, and we've spoken about David Silva at length on the show before. And I honestly don't see it. I'd be surprised if in May Manchester City win this thing and they come out at 1. And that's where I'm seeing, because I look at all the other teams around them. I even look at Spurs when waiting for them to Spurs. But even then, I sit there going, I'm not afraid of this team like I used to be for a couple of years. And yeah, I think that's the case for City. I think 2-3, yes, maybe. I think they'd be in a top 4 battle. But yeah, I'm not too sure, and I can't take a Burnley win as a yardstick as of yet.
I think it's gross underachievement, though, if that's what you're saying, because we probably went into the season with most of us painting them as probably title favourites. And I think that we need to, at some point, start to lay blame at the feet of the manager, because they've grossly underachieved considering their spend. I mean, like considering the £775 million that Pep spent, £750 million he spent on players. He's won a couple of leagues. He's won a couple of cups. He hasn't really done very well in the Champions League, and he's starting to struggle in the league. It's almost as if teams have figured out how to play against Man City. I think Ole certainly has figured out how to play against Man City, and other teams are figuring it out as they go along. And it's not very difficult to figure out what he's going to do. And it's also not very difficult to see that once Pep has lost a game, he's very quick to paint whoever beat him as anti-football. He's got this holier than thou attitude in which he goes that, well, we play the correct way. When we win, it's the correct way. And whoever beats us is playing the incorrect way. And I'm not sure if that's holding City back in some regard, in saying that there's this mantra that we play this way and we'll never change it. I wonder if that's holding them back.
Okay, I think we lost Wahid. We lost you there for a little bit. I'm just going to try and mute Dean a bit. What was that last point that you made?
I was saying that City sort of have Pep has this idea of the correct way of playing football, and he's quick to point anybody who beats him as anti-football, anti his way, and he sort of maintains this idea of like a holier than thou attitude, where his way is correct and anybody who beats him is playing the incorrect way. And I feel like that could be holding City back, this idea that there's only one way to play football, there's only one way to win games, and he's not willing to tweak that to win games.
Dean, what do you think about the City squad? I think you guys are going to play them soon. Oh, you've played them already.
We just played them, yeah.
What do you think of their chances? Because I don't see them getting there. And I've been disappointed by Pep a lot, and Wahid seemingly has.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Wahid makes a good point there. You saw exactly what Pep did in all these post-match interviews when we beat them. And the thing is, if it works, it works. You know, they can have. I think Mourinho said it. They can have as many shots on goal as they want. We got the 3 points, and we'll walk away. You know, which is what matters at the end of the day. I also think, you know, I've seen a lot of people say, okay, they beat Burnley 5-0, you know, City's back, watch City. You know, that's not the case. You can't take that single win as them being, you know, the City of old. And I definitely do not see them finishing first. I think they'll probably be in a scrappy battle for fourth. Probably at the moment, if all pans out the way I wanted to, with Spurs winning the league. Yeah, I think City's just, I think they just look out of ideas, really. They just don't know really where to go. They don't know who to pass to. No one's really sure what's happening. Burnley, they turned it on, but wow, it's Burnley. And I think that's the real issue. There's just, and again, we've said it with David Silva, there's just no creativity. And I think that's really where they're lacking.
Okay.
Spurs fans are like Proteas fans circa 2015. We went to that World Cup counting our chickens before they hatched.
We're not counting chickens. I'm just saying, if it works out, we'll win the league. That's all.
Okay, next team, guys. Let's keep it moving. Chelsea. Yeah, I think. Wait, AB. What? Wait, hold up. Okay, that is not me. AB. Looking at this at Frank's squad, do they give you confidence that they can go through and finish this off this weekend? They did quite well against Mourinho's parking the bus and low block and holding off of that counter attack, which at times, yeah, you know, Chelsea had their hearts in their mouths, but on the other end, they also had their moments. Does the squad with Tammy, because I look at the front, at the back, I think they're great. I think they're the second best defensive team on goals conceded. Spurs are better. But up front, I look at Tammy Abraham, I look at Werner, I look at Ziyech, I look at Havertz. They don't have that experience that I'm looking for to necessarily say, okay, fine, I'm afraid of this team. They can win. They've got energy, but can they do that? Can they go the distance?
I mean, that's a fantastic point. So, I mean, in that Spurs game, Chelsea had two huge chances towards the end there. That one, Hugo Lloris probably made the save of the weekend, arguably, to deny Mason Mount, so Frank Jr. I want the DNA test, first of all. So, that's big credit to Spurs. What they did was a typical Mourinho game plan, and it worked. They got the point away. And this speaks to Chelsea's problem last season as to why they didn't win that third spot, was they weren't that impressive against the traditional Big Six. I think they only won 4 out of the 10 games against the other 5 opponents. City and United and Liverpool, you're bettering them on those occasions. And then Olivier Giroud also didn't, and it was a very difficult opportunity that he had to seal the game late on. But against Rodon's little mishap header. So I think Chelsea would count themselves unlucky in that Spurs match. But that's 2 points that they kind of arguably dropped, and a gain for Spurs. But if you look at this Chelsea team, how they've performed, they're arguably the second best team in the league if you just look at goals scored, which they top with Liverpool, and they've only conceded 10, and largely because of Edouard Mendy. And this team only improves week in, week out. For me, Chelsea has what it takes to win the league. It's just, how are they going to go about beating these bigger teams when it comes to that game that's gonna be the City Liverpool games that we've seen in the last couple seasons, because they've got the squad, but as you said, and Paul, they don't have that Sergio Aguero, they don't have that Harry Kane, who's been in the Premier League long enough, who knows what it takes to perform at the Premier League big moments. They don't have someone who, right now, I can't see to have a Vincent Kompany moment in a big game to just come out and create this piece of magic and win them the title. But it's going to be very interesting to see. I've been really impressed with this Chelsea team. Now that they've qualified early for the Champions League, they can really focus on gaining these big points in the Premier League. I'm not sure who they're playing against, but I don't think I know they've got Leeds coming up, which they should walk. And then they have an out-of-form Everton team, which they should also get. So I think their run-in into Christmas could favour them, purely because they don't have to focus on Champions League as well. So I'd expect to see Chelsea maybe second on the log by Christmas.
Wow. Okay, that's a big call that you've made there. Frank and the kids.
Well, his kids.
His kids and the rest of his friends.
Yeah, I'm with you there, AB. Do you see Frank and the kids having enough to carry them over to May?
No. It's something that Cyrus and I. It's something that Cyrus and I have had a debate with for a while. I don't rate Frank Lampard as a manager, but at all. I think he was very lucky to get the Derby job, and even luckier to get the Chelsea job. I think his uncle made a couple of very important phone calls for him when the Derby chairman didn't want to have anything to do with Frank Lampard.
Oh, look, Derby's at the bottom of the championship right now this season. They look horrible.
Yeah, but having said that, so my thing with Frank Chelsea is that he doesn't strike a good balance between attack and defense really well. So in the first couple of games, or towards the end of last season and the first part of this season, you saw Chelsea being very attack minded, but shipping stupid amounts of goals at the back. And they've now made the shift to the point where he's gone, okay, trying to solidify this leaky, freaky defense by using an aging Thiago Silva, by putting in Edouard Mendy, by playing in a slightly different style at the back. But what he's gone and done is he's actually put the shackles on his attacking players. They're not scoring at the same rate they were before. He's put the shackles on players like Werner and Abraham, and then they're not quite as as cohesive as a unit going forward as they were maybe a little while back. So I think he struggles to marry attack. He struggles to find a balance between the two. And I feel like it's probably a development point. He probably will stumble upon a recipe at some point. But for now, it's you're finding him going for one before the other. And I'm not sure that his tactics are going to be in a situation right now that will carry them towards a title. I think they'll be top four. I think they've got the squad for top four, but I'm not sure they'll be challenging. And I think there might be quite a gap between them and the winners at the end.
Okay, thanks for that. Next team, I'm going to call in the guys wearing their club shirts today because mine and Dean's team play on Thursdays. Manchester United, can Ole drive this bus to a Premier League title? I saw something in that second half against Southampton that could scare the rest of the Premier League, but I know he won't try it. I think you're a much better side with Cavani at the top. I think he makes you guys very dangerous. And as AB's always been said, and I'm going to start with you, AB, you need a fox in the box, reminding me of all the foxes in the boxes that you guys have always had, and the one you stole from me. Where do you see this bus ending up? Is it one?
I mean, yeah. So look, I agree with you. Cavani should be starting just based on his performance levels, his talent, what he offers. He's the best number 9 we've had in the last 2 years. I'm not even counting Lukaku because he was out the door, and I love Rom. I just worry about Cavani's age and fitness levels. It's a totally different league.
One season, though. You just need him to carry you.
Exactly. I mean, if he's fit and, he works hard and all of that, and hopefully he's not banned, whatever, he should be starting. His impact off the bench has been amazing, though. Do I see United winning the title or challenging for the title this season? No, I think there's some glaring holes in the squad. We're non-existent on the right wing. I think we're close to finding our best midfield combo. The defense is a bit sketchy. So, on our day, we can go and beat the likes of City, the likes of Chelsea. Yeah. But top 4 is where Ollie's aiming and needs to achieve, or else he will get the sack. But I don't see us challenging for a title, even though mathematically we're in with the shot of being close or thereabouts. But I don't believe the squad is strong enough.
Wait, do you think you can do it from this position with Ollie and the assets he has?
No, you're dealing with the footballing equivalent of the Pakistani cricket side.
Okay.
We are one of the most bipolar teams I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's games, there's like the Southampton game, admittedly, the first half wasn't even that bad, but all of a sudden we're 2-0 down. And that's what I'm saying. We can be like half decent, we can be like semi-good and still catch a hiding. And then there's games where we're absolutely atrocious and like we'll walk away with the win. And I'm like sitting there scratching my head against West Brom. We're thinking like, how the hell do we come out of that with 3 points? So yeah, like I'm not sure that we can win the title. I think we have good players. I think we have a manager who's learning on the job. I think who's in a development cycle, probably a little bit ahead of his counterparts. So the comparable ones would be Lampard and Arteta. So I think he's probably a little bit ahead of them in development as a coach. So I think that top 4 challenging the likes of Chelsea for that spot as third, which is what we did last year, would be pretty much what we'd be aiming for again this year. Whether we're going to challenge the title, I'm not so sure. But having said that, in this current Premier League, with the way things are, you lose 2 games and you're in the mid-table. So, like, stranger things have happened. It wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility to see United go on a run. See Bruno Fernandes 15 penalties in the next 5 weeks, and propel ourselves to the top of the table. So it's not out of the realms of possibility, but it's not likely. Talking about the fox in the box, I do think that Cavani needs to play more games. He needs to be starting more games. He provides something that Miguel doesn't. His movement in the box is like magical. It's beautiful what he does. The way he drags out of position and provides space.
He's a traditional number 9.
He's a proper number 9.
So sexy.
one of
so
the most
sexy.
important things in that attacking sphere of the field is your space. And often United have found that we're very cramped for space. We've got players always going into the same positions. Pogba, Martial, Rashford all enjoy like the same space. And what Cavani's done is with his movement, he's sort of creating space around him, which is great. It's refreshing, and I'm enjoying it. So I think that Cavani probably needs to start a lot more games. I mean, he is a fox in the box, and the last one was a certain man, and I just want to sort of share this with you now. Of the last
I love
one,
what his little show and tell that he does every now and then.
Okay. I know I missed him too. You took him from me. That's great. Well done.
Did you see Robin van Persie's tweet the other day though?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He was admiring Edison. I can't remember what it was.
Dude,
he was admiring Edison.
When you have experienced, and I know Dean knows this with Harry Kane, when you experience a number 9 who moves like that, it's okay. Anyway, moving on to Dean's team. Can Harry Kane encourage the boys all the way to the title? Can he go, come on, boys?
Yes. That's all. Section done, yes. Move on.
We previously dealt with the Pakistani cricket. Now we're dealing with the South African ones, the chokers.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay. Dean, make a case for your guys. You're looking good defensively. You're looking pretty at the top. What's going on? Can you carry this to May?
Yeah, look, everyone knows Spurs choked. Everyone knows Spurs pulls the Spurs, all of that, right? And I think, honestly, Mourinho knows that as well, okay? He knew that coming in. And that's why I think he brought in the likes of, he brought in leaders, to be honest. He brought in, okay, Joe Hart is not going to be our number 1 goalkeeper, but the guy knows what it's like to win. Gareth Bale knows what it's like to win. He brought in Højbjerg, who is a natural-born leader. That's what you need in those pressure moments. And best of all, you've got a coach that is a serial winner. So I don't think that negates what we may or may not do, but I definitely think it puts enough sort of door stoppers in there from that being the go-to excuse when it comes to the Spurs side.
Dean, would you survive a Harry Kane injury?
Yes.
No.
I've had this. Okay, so there's talks of it. Well, he is injured now. So there's talks of him not being fit for this weekend. So we'll see. But it's quite sad news. But my thing is, you take Kane out that squad, and it's a massive hole. Same way if you take a Salah out of a Liverpool, or you take, De Bruyne out of a City, there's going to be a hole. But
penalties out of Man United.
Take penalties out. Exactly. But I do think we could probably, if it's a 6-month injury, definitely not. If it's a 2-week, I think we've got enough cover at the moment up front to handle it. And I think that's really what it's going to be about. Spurs are winning games Spurs are winning and drawing games that we would never have won or drawn in the past. And that's honestly why we're sitting where we are. This Chelsea game for me was the most stressful game we've played this season, just given their defensive record and where they're at. And I think we came away with it. We almost scored at the end as well, as much as they almost scored at the end. It could have been 3 points either way. But at the end of the day, that's how it goes. But look, I know Wahid likes to say that I'm counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm not. No, I'm probably the most doubtful Spurs supporter that there is, waiting for us to explode.
So if you're very doubtful, at what point in the league, in what month are we going to be sitting here going, okay, it's a deer in the headlights moment, Spurs are, or will we never get that? Because I feel as though when you haven't done something in a while, regardless of whether you've got Mourinho there, you might get to a point, maybe March or April, and it's staring you in the face. And you choke.
Yeah,
I don't want to use the T word, but you kind of start losing games. It's like that Liverpool season the Gerrard slip and the season before they won this one where they got 99 points, and it was that game against City where they needed to win and they never got there. Do you see that happening, or Mourinho's just going to ride this thing all the way to the trophy?
Look, I think that's obviously a possibility of happening, but I definitely think that we've got Mourinho and the different personnel to perhaps not make that stretch of games go for as long as they perhaps would have under Poch or someone else. That's more where I'm trying to lean on a bit of confidence in that respect. But I do think if we get to about 10 games to go and Spurs start, kind of falling away, or, it's either going to go one of two ways. We're either going to have 10 games to go and we're going to absolutely just pick up and start flying, or we're going to go 10 games to go and it's going to be the same old Spurs. That's going to be the defining. I think we'll stick around up until March. 100% will be there and thereabouts. But from there on, I think that's really where it's going to be.
Maybe is Dean being a little bit too doubtful?
Again, the answer's no. Answer's no from AB. We can move on.
Okay, quick question, Dean. Is Gareth Bale starting this weekend if Harry Kane's not
Yeah.
Okay.
Gareth Bale starting.
North London derby is going to something else. The other North London team, I called it a big six, but yes, they finished 8th or 7th, whatever it was last year. It was a bad movie. And I somehow got glimpses of a nicer life in the bubble. Well, it wasn't a bubble, but in that truncated end of the season. And then all of a sudden I arrive in 2020, 2021, and it's a mess. This team has no direction. It does not know what it's doing. The good thing is that they've sorted themselves at the back, which is great. Top 6 defense in terms of goals conceded. Clean sheets were up there in the top 8. There's 6 teams who are on 4 clean sheets. And then Chelsea are there at the top. But offensively, it looks bad. You paid Aubameyang the money. You put him out on the left. He was scoring goals out on the left. He's not scoring anymore because the midfield doesn't look good. My only issue with the situation is that it's actually not the front 3 or the back 4 or back 3 that are the problem. It's the 2 midfield players. The Thomas Partey injury midway after that Manchester United game and in that Aston Villa game changed the way in which the season goes. El Neni's COVID test 2 weeks ago, also with Mo Salah, kind of held this Arsenal team back. Arteta can no longer rely on Xhaka and Ceballos. They play too deep. Nobody's creative enough. You guys are talking about Cavani moving up and around and great things. At Arsenal, it was always the number 10. It's always the Bergkamp. It's always the Ozil. It's always Santi Cazorla sitting at 10, doing the runs behind the defenders, creating the space for that number 9 who necessarily just sits at the top of the box waiting for the ball to drop to him, and he puts it through. That's no longer happening, and it's disappointing. And it looks like Arteta's is in the deep end. I think Stan Kroenke really hurt him by only paying for one player, and I think he paid for the wrong player. Even though I liked Thomas Partey, I think we should have gone for Houssem Aouar. It would have been slightly different and a little bit more creativity, but that's where it is. Arsenal sitting in 14th. Our season's over. The best I can hope for is a top 6 finish, if at all. I don't even think we're going to get to top 6. I think we'll get to probably 8, based on the way they're playing, unless if they do something in January to kind of set it up, of differentiate it. But there's an incredible stat. I think Arsenal is bottom 3 in passing forward, which baffles me. But it shows how Arteta set this team up in trying to fix that structure. He's kind of taken away that ability for someone to think for themselves and take the gap when you see the gap, instead of hiding in a structure and hoping you might get benched. And I think that's the reason why some of the players who are like this, much more creative and have more agency, like Ozil and possibly Guendouzi, and also I think Nicola Pepe is going down the same route, who just take things and just take shots and try and take advantage, will not work in the system, and they've been frozen out. So It's disappointing. I've got a Willian who's 33 years old that we've paid for, and yeah. So I'm gonna go to Wahid because I know he's got a lot to say. So if you have it.
No, I think you've covered it all. I just look at it and I think it's a mess. It's a mess on the field. I don't know if anybody's seen the heat maps of Arsenal and the average positions of the players. It's like there's like the freedom of North London down the middle of the field where no one seems to want to like mark the opposition. They like everybody's split into right and left sided players. It's almost like Arteta he's looked at the squad and admittedly, he doesn't have the best set of players in the world. I mean, it's a very unbalanced squad. I don't think it's the best squad on paper or on the field. I think he's trying to make it work one way or the next. But I almost wonder if there's like a pattern of overthinking here. If there's a pattern of of being almost too conservative or being too pragmatic in his approach, and just like putting too much thought into this, whereas and not leaving his team a semblance of creativity where they can just go and express themselves. And I think that is important for some of the players you have, like Aubameyang. He probably just needs to go and express himself. We're not shackled in a system like he currently is being. So yeah, it looks like a complete mess at the moment, and I wonder if the board at Arsenal are going to look at what they're seeing on the field and think, let's back him in January. Because I mean, would you back a manager like this, having seen what you've seen?
No, but if he and Edu can let them know that there was another player we're looking to get who could possibly help the creative aspect in the midfield, because if you look at those midfield, the four midfielders that play in those two spots in the midfield, it's Xhaka, Ceballos, Partey, and Elneny. Elneny's not the greatest, but he's very good defensively. He covers every part of the field, but attacking-wise doesn't work. Partey seemingly has that offensive element to him, and against Manchester
United, like a better version of Alex Song.
Yes, yes, but at least he's driving the play forward, but he's not good enough to take that to help the team take that extra step. Ceballos used to do that, but now because Arteta wants his midfielders to hang deep, he hangs so deep that it doesn't work. And Granit Xhaka might as well be a new centre back. I have no words for him. But so to a certain extent, I get it, but I feel as though he kind of felt after winning the FA Cup that he could attack the smaller teams by playing a 4-5-1. I think he should just go back to a 3-4-3. But a slight difference is Aubameyang in the middle, and Bukayo Saka shouldn't be a left wing back. He should actually be on the left side. I think he's one of the most creative players we have. And so that's the only adjustments that I want to see. And then maybe Ainsley Maitland-Niles plays left wing back, or you put Tierney left wing back and figure out who you're going to play at centre back. But he needs to, because that structure worked. We kind of understood it, and everyone bought into it. And it kind of helped them attack because you sit on the counter and then you've got pace on either side to run at players. The issue I have is that that's where his brain has been stuck, and him moving out of that has been a bit of a problem in trying to get that 4-5-1 shape working. And in that 4-5-1 shape, the press has just gone to shambles. It's just gone badly. And the one great thing about Alex Lacazette is that he played that press very well centrally, which has been the problem. And also Arteta's now all of a sudden, Arsenal players are attacking ball players, whereas normally Arsenal would just retreat. Against Manchester United, all Elneny did was cover space, and it seemed to work. We retrieved the ball very easily there because you're forcing them to think about their passes. Now, against Aston Villa, players were diving in. Leeds, everyone's just chasing the ball. And that's where I think Arteta needs to fix it. There is a lot of overthinking, but I feel as though he should tell the front three, doesn't matter, play your natural games, do what you need to do. If you have the ball and you have a defender, take him on. Because it hurts me to watch Willian get the ball up in the field on the right and pass the ball back, instead of necessarily looking to take on the defender or looking to find a man coming up or something. But this season, I always wrote this season off. I think it's going to just be worse than I expected. And that's the sad part about all of this.
The the danger is getting into a United type of cycle where the board sit and look at the manager and say, well, he might not be here for the long run, so maybe we're not going to back him now. Then in not backing him, results tank, they fire him. The next manager has to deal with a squad that's sort of half his and half his predecessors, and you just keep moving on in a cycle like that where no manager has a squad that's his own squad. And that's the danger that you might fall into if the board are looking at him and saying, is the football good enough to go and back this man in the window?
Look, I think they will back him. I think they still understand that this team is half Unai Emery. But Christmas, these next 6 games are going to be very important.
Where is the good evening merchant in Spain though?
I think it's like top 4 or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's second.
He's second. No, I thought Atletico was second now. But
no,
he's top 3.
Yeah.
Because Atletico just won. Yeah. Dean, you had a question to close us off?
Yeah, so, and I think this is the question that I think all the other people want to kind of get out of Arsenal fans is, when do you actually fire Arteta? Like, as an Arsenal fan, when do you actually think, or when for you is enough? Like,
for
at
me,
what point?
At the end of this season.
Is it the end of the season, or is it January, or is it when you're sitting in 18th?
May, you sit, you look, maybe even the end of next season, because if you can get him Houssem Aouar in January, which I don't think you will because his price tag will go up to like 60 million, then you can then say, we've given you 6 months of having an attacking midfielder in your side, and see where that looks and what the squad looks like and how it is. I think he can bring it back. I do think if Arsenal's like is in the bottom half, he'll be fired by the end of the season. But
I do think you guys have enough to stay up.
Yes, up in the Premier League. Not in the
touch and go. It's very touch and go.
Right now, we are, what is it? On shots created, our bottom 3. On average distance from the goals, we are bottom 2 in terms of the shots that we take. It's about 16 yards away from goal, and the only team that is closer is that David Moyes side called West Ham. There's a lot he needs to fix, but I do think the Crinkers are. So the thing is with the Crinkers is that obviously they've got all these teams around the world, and I think they could use this try get this Arsenal season going and seeing if they can't get a trophy, a Europa League run or something that can bring some cash back in. And I think that's the most important thing that Arteta needs to be aware of, is that even if the Premier League doesn't go as well, try get some other tournament or trophy that you can hold on to and put in front of Stan for you to be able to keep your job. But anything below top 10, he'll get fired, but I think he won't. I don't think we'll finish in the bottom half. It's just, it looks horrible right now. But the great thing is they're taking more shots. Over the past 3 games, I think they've averaged about 15 shots. Previously, they've averaged about 9. So it's a massive difference. And 15 shots is Liverpool range. Liverpool take about 15 shots a game, and they're the highest in the league. So those are the type of things that it seemingly the structure's changed. I think Aubameyang's just cold right now, and you can see it. But okay, that brings the end part of the Premier League discussion. Just a quick reminder to everyone that you please do interact with us on these platforms. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to move over to our